Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Cooper with CryptoMom2 Talk Show and the Blockchain Legal Institute. I want to welcome everyone to this episode. Ask that you like and subscribe because, as I always mention, there are many individuals that I'm interviewing, and I want to make sure that you are able to enjoy all of their conversations. For those that are new to the CryptoMom2 Talk Show and the Blockchain Legal Institute, let me just share a little bit about what we do. My background's law, and I'm also in education, and I'm also an author of the Bitcoin Cinderella Adventure series. The Blockchain Legal Institute I started, and it is, for those that are listening now in 2023, the Blockchain Legal Institute is only a few months old, but really it has been in development for years. And the reason why I say that is the BLI is a centralized library for the decentralized resources and the decentralized world that we live in. And I say that it's been in development for years is because of the fact that I didn't realize that when I started learning about blockchain 6 years ago, that I would come to the point where the Blockchain Legal Institute would be created. But really, it's a blend of both my legal background and looking at the issues that impact both consumers as well as businesses, as well as my education background and my desire and determination to make sure that everyone who's in our community has access to diverse resources so you can make informed decisions about things that are happening within our space. And I say that because we have so much going on. We have areas that are evolving, from artificial intelligence to the Bitcoin community, to the Ethereum community, to the blockchain use cases, to Web3, to DAOs, you name it. There's so much going on within each part of our community. And it's really important to stay informed. It's important to stay informed because of the fact that there are good players and there are bad players, meaning those that have that are going to have scams. And so it's really important for you as consumers and those in business to be able to inform yourself as to how to stay compliant, as well as to how to stay safe with the funds that are being entrusted to you for the various purposes. And that's why I'm very excited to have on today a guest who is a professor at a university, and he's written many books. He's been at many conferences, and his area of expertise covers many subjects, but it specifically is an area about anti-money laundering and a lot of the fintech topics that are important within that space. And this whole area has been evolving. I mean, we in the banking and I'm not in the banking community, but the banking community has always been aware, and the financial community has always been aware of fiduciary responsibility and how do you handle money, how do you know your customer, and then how to make sure that the money is protected. But things happen. And so as we've navigated from, a physical traditional banking community to an online banking community, different platforms and things need to be taken into account, and identities also. And so with that, I'm going to welcome you to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead? You're involved with so much, you're an associate professor of applied intelligence at Gannon University, but even way before you began being a professor, you've been in this space. So why don't you go ahead and just share a little bit more about your background? How did you get into this space? What made you interested in this area? Because you have a very interesting background. So go ahead and share.
All right. So once I completed my undergrad degree in accounting and the police academy, that's law, justice, and society, and then I ended up in National Bureau of the Interpol, and I worked 3 years. So criminal behavior across the border from other countries. So investigating their behavior. Sometimes, the money side of it, the cross-border involvement of the transportations of money or different assets from the country. And right after that, I started working on the intelligence department. Police intelligence department is equivalent to the FBI nationals intelligence. And then I've been in NATO peacekeeping operations excuse me, in different countries. The main point is just for me to understand the criminal behavior and terrorist behavior. That's the important thing to understand before we build up our countering activities. So the both side, what I build up understanding with my experience on that, we need to definitely understand our behavior, all the criminal behavior. That makes me very curious. And I said I need to, to continue started the new education in the United States to how can I scientifically research, quantify terrorist behavior, criminal behavior, specifically financing behavior on that. How can I also quantify intelligence response or any counterterrorism measures in the national security field? That increased my curiosity, and I got scholarships, ended up in the United States, having my master's degree in justice studies and political science degree in the United States. I learned Q methodology, basically helping us financial crime fighters to understand the perception, why we pursue criminal or terrorist behavior, any behavior differently from other teammates within the same institutions. It's basically helped me to understand how we pursue the reality, why it is different. That Q methodology helped me to measure that, to understand the differences in the perception, but also my political science, background helped me to quantify this kind of intelligence community, United States intelligence behavior when they are countering terrorist activities globally. That's really increased my expertise and gave me some skill sets. Now, professionally, I know the criminal behavior and our countermeasures. Now, scientifically, I deepen my understanding, which is set the intelligence educations and AML educations in the academia, and I start building many program Intel and the AML in this field.
So, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Turkey.
And when you were originally overseas, did you see that there was an interest or a concern about what was happening within the blockchain cryptocurrency world? And is that why you decided to step into that area?
So basically what I worked at, so when I look at the criminal and the terrorist behavior, it includes the financing behavior or just money laundering behavior on that. There was no technological development at 1990s. And, when I come to the education 20, and further my, with the other certifications from ACAMS and other chains and other private companies, and I see the gap. And I said that now criminals changing their behavior from the physical world. It's the reflections of the physical world behavior in the blockchains or other available tools. So they are using the same mindset, but their behavior kind of a little bit different based on what the blockchain will just offer them, some opportunities, how to move money from cross border on that. So from my experience, and without understanding the physical behavior, so there's a connection. At the blockchains, when the assets move on that, moving from the country, we need to understand the bigger pictures. I think without knowing that, just only focusing on the behavior in the blockchain, so we're not gonna understand their behavior without having the understanding of mindset of their behavior in the physical world, or any mechanism they are using other than the blockchain on that. That is the holistic approach will help us to where it is coming from the blockchain. So where it is gonna head, it will be heading to after taken away, turn into, any exchange office and turn into, the money and where it's heading. I think we need to understand the holistic or broader pictures, understand that.
Definitely, we need to understand the ecosystem and where it's heading. I know that you've written a number of books. would you like to share, what was your first book that you wrote and what was that about?
It was about, I'm always curious about intelligence cooperation and intelligence sharing. And that's why my book is kind of with the professionals and the academics come together, so write and understand the 21st century behavior, so practices. My goal is always to building like compliance cultures, always information intelligence sharing cultures. That's the biggest thing should be accomplished in different organizations, because this will give us to share some information we are holding, but it's not valuable at this point with us. But that piece of information can be valuable for other institutions. That informal culture of sharing will just gonna have us to share our information, our knowledge, our training. That really will help us, to stronger to when we're fighting any, money laundering behavior or the financing behavior, any illegal financing behavior on that. Today, just I'm working with my co-authors on the innovative solutions to anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. This is the same thing. So without understanding the international characteristics of this criminal or terrorist financing, so there are reasons, there's a gap between the real nature of these behaviors and risk and the way the financial crime fighters pursue them. There are always gaps. And these gaps, so even we try to build a counter regime or compliance regime, is not going to be effective. I think we need to understand that gap. That is kind of book, the first part, will try to address this one. The second part is important is because there is also institutional practices gap. The real nature of the threat or the risk, but the institutional practices, there are always policy gaps among them. Institutional change is very harder than the changing the perception of the individual. So my goal is just gonna make sure that we understand this gap. What are the driving factors behind this institutional practices, the gap between the real nature of the threat, even the perception gap, what is driving on that? And the last part of the book will just address all these challenges and gap and any innovative ideas for risk awareness, management, educational, artificial intelligence. I would like to have professionals and academics to make a contribution on this, and compliance financial crime fighters can have from different countries, different experts and academics have kind of different mindset, and it will help them to problem solving.
What do you see as the biggest, for the institutional side, what do you see as the biggest problem area that they need to address to, and they need to fill? So that way this might be able to be assisted.
I think we try to accomplish compliance culture, but the important components compliance culture is, we can say, in the intel field, intelligence sharing cultures, but it should be information sharing cultures, not only information skills and expertise. Even the conferences try to address this, this is so important to, building this, the culture, sharing cultures among them. And this will help us to build one early warning system, so we can understand in daily real time, if we build together with the partnerships, with sharing information, we can understand where the risk is, emerging or fading away, but it's kind of real time. The intelligence community use these things and differently to getting the all open source information. It's daily coming to visualize on the computer. You can go down to the postal codes and the region. You can see the differences. If the financial crime fighters can be updated with the early warning systems, what's going on in their environment, I think they will keep them to engage with the current problem, identify them, so investigate them, and it's gonna easily make us to practical solutions. We don't need to wait every 6 months new risk assessment. We don't need to wait another year to other, your international organization publishing new risk assessment. So it's gonna be too late. We need to be ahead of the criminal mind, ahead of their behavior. I think that kind of solve the problem, that partnerships, sharing information or expertise together and building some
So do you think
early.
those that are within the criminal side, they have access to the same information that we do? How do you think that we're able to stay ahead of them? I mean, granted, traditional businesses or the businesses within the blockchain might be able to build certain protections, but again, if you are in the criminal world, I would think that they're also looking at how to stay a step ahead as well. So how are we able to stay a step ahead?
Because when I visit ACAMS conferences and other conferences, when I have with the different vendors, I have discussion with them.
Yeah.
They build the AI different system. I don't remember the exact name they give it. It helping to, if any financial institution voluntarily want to be part of that system, basically voluntarily they can share some of the things they identify in the institution with the other institution, if they allow them to see that, because that will help to other institution with the new information come from the other institution. They can easily see that, yeah, this criminal also opening accounts, other institution, different things, but it's a voluntary base. So we're not going to give everything. That we need to understand that we don't need to share the operational information, something significant, but some informations we can share that. The expert know that which one, so they can make that decision within that institution. I saw that some program AI, so they use AI and they develop some programs to do that. I think that should be more spread throughout the financial institutions or that sectors or other law enforcement, other places. There are some examples, so we need to kind of make sure that this is really spread to other sectors.
So let me ask you this question. There are a lot of AI, and you might not have an answer, and that's okay. There are a lot of AI programs, AI note takers right now. And, again, as a consumer, there's a lot of marketing that's going on for different programs, and people are signing up for these AI note takers, but they're not always researching where that information is stored or what sort of protections are around. And so I'm thinking that also might end up being an area of vulnerability, because as people sign up for these AI note takers, they're leaving themselves open to other entities to access that information, the content, whatever it is, and there's no, possibly not protections built within. So that way, like you said, limited information is shared. Instead, these note takers are taking notes of every conversation. And if someone has access to that other than the company, and even within the company, then that means that data information can be collected and then used by the criminal element for whatever it is that their goal is. How do you see a way to protect the general consumer with some of these new tools that are very good from the perspective of time saving, but they are not necessarily good from the perspective of privacy or leaving yourselves open to other sort of hacks or criminal activity?
I've been seeing build up many systems from 1990s, 2000, around that time. Anytime you build anything, there are vulnerabilities. But what I saw, what I learned, that if you build partnership, this is informal. You're not going to have most of the time the formal partnership. So it's
Right.
very risky to sharing maybe other information we need to keep in that. But informal to the partnerships, so we're not asking every single thing from the other institution, basically, or whoever are just our counterpart. So if you just have that one and build a kind of that information sharing, that cultures, the sharing cultures on that, so we kind of come to the one common set, what can be shareable, what cannot be shareable. Even the government share information with others. We see that, that information end up to the criminals, somehow return on. There's always risk.
There's always risk, yeah.
Yeah, there's always risk. It doesn't mean that there are risks. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't be allow any AI solution to the public. That will be with the partners. So I'm not saying that, so we need to just everybody have access on that. So because of being partner means that we need to trust each other. Without building trust, we're not going to have this partnership. Trust is the number one issue. The second thing, the reliability of the sources. So as an intelligence education, we always say that what is the source? Is this source, can be reliable?
Right.
Once we make sure that, hey, this information coming from the reliable sources, we use general. We're not using every single informations in the open source. We don't know that that can be part of the propaganda or disinformation. So with this education, people will understand the skill sets, what to look for it, when to look for it, how to use them. That's the challenges. We have been having these challenges since I work, 1990s. So there will be even challenges for the future. I think this is not the current time challenges. There are always challenges.
There are always challenges. You're right about that. So, what other project or work are you working on that you'd like to share, or a topic that you think is important for the listeners to know about, during our conversation?
So in terms of AML education, so I'm looking for the partnerships, because there is what I see as a gap in the field. This is the most of the financial crime see it. So it doesn't mean that I'm the only one just see it. There's a great demands for the skill set, different skill sets in the financial crime fighter. This is including, the cryptocurrency. It is not, that's why I'm saying trade-based money laundering. There are many variety of platforms has been used, so they need to build different skill sets. And as an educator, I work in the academia, and I saw that, so we know this demand, and we need to give this, whatever is the skill set currently, the financial crime fighters they needed, we can put in this the curriculum. So our curriculum not only having to what is the theory, why this is happening, but also incorporating some of the certification preparations. Because industry and different companies try to help, the financial crime fighters. But also, during my communication, informal communication, blockchain intelligence group, N-Chain, and there are many others, and I talked to many other vendors, how can you give access our students these tools you prepare for the professional field? At least we need to give them to, have a taste, how to use that, write a report, maybe to follow the how the funding is flowing from one part to other part on that. This is other things, so we can have that, but if the partnership also will give an opportunity to any institution can contract out there some of the, let's say, small project the university student can achieve, maybe done some research, finding different informations in the field on that. And also this will increase the students' participation in different events, professional events in terms of money laundering or and others. I think this will just gonna help to industry, because they will have education and different skill sets. They know how to use the tools. They know how to work on the money laundering case, how to prepare link chart, how money is flowing, what are the AML failures happening in the AML governance structures in the banking sectors, what will be the recommendation, how to fix the problem. I think this created just AML feature educations that will help to for pipeline for the industry to get someone already know this, maybe they don't need to worry about more training to have them train on things. So they will have a holistic approach, experience, and writing a report. They know how to make a risk assessment. I think that's the important thing. So we tried to see this is a gap, and we try to accomplish this one with the AML certificate program at the Gannon.
So I know that you have classes at Gannon University. Who is able to participate in those classes, and what are the topics that are covered?
So right now we started with 4 courses, and one of AML, risk assessment, counterterrorism financing, and cryptocurrency. We would like to increase these courses. Currently, I have students from banking sector, private sector, insurance, law firms, sometimes just graduated from the recently, the undergrad. So I have variety of someone has 30-year tax experiences. So that's really great they are discussing many topics and incorporate their experiences in the class discussions. So everyone from different background, different sectors, different majors, political science, accounting, cyber, intelligence. I think so everyone can come and take this kind of courses, and they can be,
I definitely think that classes like that are important for individuals who are working in this area, especially since it can add to their toolkit of knowledge and their ability to be more critical thinkers as they're doing their job, or if they're going out into the job market to understand some of the challenges that exist. For those that are listening, definitely there'll be contact links, and also the publications will be listed below. So that way, I know that you're writing some more books and you're publishing some other things. So we'll make sure that those links are there. Any last minute thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think so. The only thing say so they need to be aware about what's going on in the environment. That's the important thing. And also, I advise them, I did this, in my whole life, make sure that they need to understand whoever their boss, their agenda, what are the priorities. And they need to always to give update them without being asked. Hey, I was doing this, I come across this. And I think that's the great way to, communicating each other's, and that will be my suggestions. I apply that, and I just see that is very useful too.
I agree. I think it's in this space, both for the resources that are being posted at Blockchain Legal Institute, because it's a centralized library of different resources, along with the resources that you're creating and you're writing and you're researching. I think it's important for everyone in this space to always be constantly looking at different professionals like yourself and resources, because the space is changing so fast. So it's hard to know it all. And it really is important to be able to reach out and learn more about the professionals and experts in individual areas. And I know that you've definitely made a name for yourself, and that you're leading the way in the AML area. So I want to thank you for being on. I know we're going to have continuing conversations. If anyone has questions for any of the guests, feel free to message me. I can pass it on, or you can just click in the links below the blog, and that way you can ask your questions directly. And I know that you had said that you're going to be at various conferences, the ACAM conference and other conferences, so people can also connect with you there. As I always say at the end of all my shows, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're so interconnected. We're all part of one world, and now more than ever. So everyone, thank you so much for hopping on, and have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.